Warning, spoilers, dead ahead. What's going on, guys? Kong, Skull Island, proved to be the king of the box office this past weekend. But is the movie great? Isn't even good? Well, today we're setting out to solve that debate. And we have two men who often work together on opposing sides of the argument. First, you know him as the host of Dan's Labyrinth on Screen Junkies Plus. He's the movie fights champion, Dan Merle.
Pleasure to be here, Hal.
And making a rare appearance on Screen Junkies, he's the creator of Honest Trailers and the host of Movie Fights, Andy Signore. Andy.
I'm happy to be here. Speaking of movie fights, this episode 3 years ago, Does Godzilla Suck?, was the first official movie fight done here on this set. And who knew it would have spawned a champion?
A whole show.
And a whole show.
A slew of questions and arguments.
Wow, that's a cool little piece of nostalgia. Dan.
Yeah.
What side of the argument are you on today?
This is going to surprise a lot of people, considering particularly my past with Andy, but I'm on the side that Kong Skull Island was an enjoyable film.
Andy, what side of the debate are you on?
Kong Skull Island sucked. It was a huge disappointment. I liked parts of Kong, but as a movie as a whole, does not hold up.
Gotcha. Let's get this started.
Yeah.
Dan, what did you like? Why was Kong Skull Island a very enjoyable movie-going experience?
Important thing to remember here is that not every movie is created equal. You have to look at each movie and say, did this movie set out, did it succeed in what it set out to do? And I contend that Kong Skull Island did succeed in what it set out to do. It was a B movie. It was very much a product of its creature feature roots. It set out to establish Kong. It set out to establish the world that Kong inhabits, crazy monsters. It could have used a little more character development. I'll be the first one to admit that. But it was a movie that set out to be a romp through a crazy jungle with crazy animals. It succeeded in doing that. And because of that, I'm going to say that it is an enjoyable film.
Boom. Opening salvo. Andy Signore, give us your opening statements.
Look, he says it's a B film, and if I want a B film, then I don't want to have these weird, bad characters that are taking me out of the monster nonsense. This film was filled with countless minutes of useless human beings that had no right to be there. I did care about Kong. I actually enjoyed the appearance of Kong when he took down those helicopters. But then what happens? They just fall into all of the boring, generic tropes that these blockbusters of recent do, where instead of these interesting people scattered throughout an island in this amazing B-movie island, they immediately just go into two groups, and all of the fun B-movie tropes and sort of things I thought we were going to go were just completely wasted.
See, I thought that the whole movie they were having fun with it. That's what made me enjoy the film. Was a simple story doesn't mean a bad story. Stories can be simple and still be enjoyable. Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson, the two lead characters, I agree, not enough to do. But I think that was bailed out by the fact that Sam Jackson, at least they made his character simple and easy to understand. Kong killed my soldiers. I want to kill Kong. Okay, that's motivation, and that's what he does in the movie. You don't have to question what he's doing. He doesn't do about it in a convoluted way. He says, I hate that monkey, and I'm going to go kill it. Secondly, John C. Reilly, by far the best person in this movie. I agree. The Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson storyline would have fallen completely flat if not for the fact that they did meet John C. Reilly. John C. Reilly, I thought, was funny. I think he improvised most of his dialogue, which I think was why it was better than almost anything else in the film.
Steve Brule himself.
And it gave that side of the story an injection of humor and an injection of fun that it needed.
It's just a completely different movie he's in. The reason he's funny is because it felt like, well, crap, he needs to explain everything that's happening, so go ahead, be funny, because we need something to happen here. And that, to me, stinks of a bad movie, of he has to come in and save moments that, again, I gotta harp on Hiddleston and Brie Larson. This was a sign where I'm like, is Brie Larson as good as we think she is? Like, what on earth choices did she make? I get a director tells you what to do, but come on, girl, you're a photographer. You're a war photographer on a brand new island with all these things. Take some damn photos!
She took pictures.
No, she did not. She hardly took a single photo.
She put her
movie.
camera, she was
And
clicking away the entire time.
Half the movie is Tom Hiddleston doing this on the boat.
Yeah.
I was so offended by the waste of these I think fantastic actors doing
A-listers.
nothing. They're doing nothing. So yes, John C. Reilly shows up and does something.
Yes.
But it didn't make any sense to the
Let
movie.
me ask you this.
did,
Were
though.
there...
Oh, it didn't.
I'll throw this out there to both of you. Were there too many characters to follow?
Yes. John Goodman, complete waste. He has to sit on luggage at one point to tell you what's happening, and then the whole sort of buildup of his character is going to prove right. You don't even get to have that moment with him. He doesn't really even get to experience it. All of the countless soldiers that really could have had a few if they just whittled it down, had a couple good stories. I can't tell you who the hell was what and did what. One guy has a kid. Okay, he's gonna die, clearly. They were so paint by numbers, generic soldier
Well, the guy with
characters.
the kid, first of all, they at least subverted that cliche as far as, like, the guy that you're rescuing, he's out.
But
he's
they
gone.
didn't. Then Samuel Jackson is given the dog tags. He's still dead. No, I'm going to take my men in, and we're still going to get after this
But
beast.
that
It was
mixed
lost.
the story up, because even when you confront him with the fact that he's on a task, that even underscores how even crazier that the guy is. It's like he's literally now doing this for
crazy.
no reason.
Exactly. Too crazy for me to enjoy it.
I
He's
disagree.
putting his people's life at risk because he has bloodlust for war.
I disagree, because what this movie is about at its core is Kong, and is about the creatures that are on this island. And I liked the way that they set these people up in scenarios to showcase that. Yes, the human characters could have used improvement, but they're not the focus of the story. The focus of the story is the crazy creatures and the fights. And those were done exceptionally well.
Let's focus on that for a moment. Let's
well.
focus on that for a moment. Andy, was there enough action for you in this movie?
Kong has some good moments, yes. Kong in itself I thought was a good character, but he's ruined to me by Samuel Jackson's sort of, I'm a bad guy, so overly generic bad guy that just made no sense to me. So yes, that distracted me, because who does Kong really go up against? He goes up against these skull creatures that are kind of cool, but that's all it was. Like, I can't just have a movie with just that. It's just, it all is very reminiscent to me of a similar debate we had about Jurassic World.
Which
Where
is
to
hilarious to me that
that
you're saying these things after the debate that we had about
Jurassic World is the B movie that I was arguing. This movie took itself too seriously.
No.
And what didn't go over that edge where I thought Jurassic World did, of crazy training raptors, dino DNA, like, that's what made Jurassic World fun.
See, I disagree with you fundamentally, because the hallmark of the B movie that this movie was, is that the movie and the characters in this movie always take things more seriously than the movie takes itself. And that's the thing that I thought they did figure out in this movie that they didn't figure out in Jurassic World. With Jurassic World, it was all about the dinosaurs and the 18 plot lines, the kids' parents getting divorced, and
my
Vincent
God,
D'Onofrio,
this didn't have 18
and then
plot
Henry.
lines?
No, it didn't have 18 plot lines.
Come
it
on,
had too
every
many
character.
characters. I'll agree with you, but it had two plot lines really. These people want to leave. These people want to fight Kong, and that's it. And that's what you had to follow.
There's Monarch, there's John C. Reilly's whole thing. He's stuck on an island with a bunch of people he can't understand.
Jurassic World had 15 different plot lines about weaponized raptors and every other thing under the sun that nobody cares about. It was so convoluted. It was so much exposition and talking throughout Jurassic World. Not the same movie.
Yes, it is.
At all.
Literally, there's a whole
Not
20-minute
at
moment
all.
where John C. Reilly just plows exposition.
Okay,
They
let's
all-
rein
it's
it in.
not
Let's
at
rein
all
it in
the
for
same.
a
Oh,
This is
moment.
the island.
Let's
These
rein-
are the people here. These are the
Plus-
lizard monsters that
plus-
came out of the hole.
plus-
Let's explain why these lizards.
plus-
Oh, but wait.
What?
But
Okay,
wait.
The monster action in this movie was 10 times what it was in
No
Jurassic
way!
World. I
No
will take
way!
any one of those Kong fights
No
over
chance.
that dark, greasy, can't
T-Rex!
even see what's going on
Raptor
fight at the end of
jumped on the
Jurassic World.
T-Rex!
You can't
That
tell.
was awesome!
Okay,
It's
so-
in the
wait.
dark. You can't even tell what's
Okay,
happening.
so are you saying that T-Rex and Raptor Helper
Yes, way cooler.
in that big boss battle
Granted,
at the
look,
end?
I've stepped back from Jurassic World. I'm not as such. People are going to say, "Oh, Jurassic World is stupid." It is stupid. I want to put it on record. I
Running
had
through the
fun in the
jungle.
theater. I turned my brain off and I had fun. I couldn't do that. I went to go do that in this movie, and I couldn't because it was the tones were too mixed.
I don't want to relitigate this entire Jurassic World debate.
Oh, it's up for debate now, sir.
it's ridiculous.
We're here today talking Kong Skull Island.
It's very similar.
Dan, was the action satisfying? And do you feel like it heightened properly for you?
The action was immensely satisfying. I think even the biggest detractor of this movie will tell you that the action is what kept it afloat, even if they didn't like anything else in this movie. The first Kong scene where he's taking down the helicopters is, and I will say this,
Great
the
scene.
best Kong sequence I have seen in a King Kong movie.
Good scene.
Bar none. Now, if it had all gone downhill from there, I could see people's points. But
It does.
the scene at the end where Kong is fighting the big skull crawler, that is a great monster-on-monster sequence. It had a great capper to it. It had the thing where it comes back, and I love that. I thought that was great. And then in the middle, what I loved was that they didn't just rely on Kong to do all this stuff. They had inventive creatures, they had inventive ways to stage the action, and ultimately I think that's what makes it an enjoyable film, is it's not perfect. It's not. But it knows what movie it is, it stays focused on that, and it delivers on what you want to see when you're going to see that movie.
This one I just thought took itself too seriously, and then fine, if you're gonna do that, give me good characters then. I can't take you seriously if you give me bad characters. That moment with Brie Larson is so forced. There's a really cool shot where she's on his hand. It looked fantastic. I thought that was a really cool moment. But come on, there have been so many good women who have acted opposed King Kong, from Naomi Watts to Jessica Lange. So many of these actors have had those moments, and I didn't buy it for a second with Brie Larson.
I'm glad that they didn't go with the whole,
Empire
here's
State
Brie
Building.
Larson, she's my pet.
But they
They didn't. He saved her at the end, but there wasn't the whole love story. There wasn't 30 minutes of him carrying her around and adopting her.
Okay, there's been a lot of debate back and forth. I'd like to get a couple of bullet point moments from each of you that really typify your argument. Andy, let's start with you. What were the moments specifically that undermine, that drag down this movie for you?
I mean, to me, the ending didn't help at all. Like, there's a good monster finale moment, but then they suddenly miraculously get off this really hard to get on island that we've established is hard, and then suddenly they get out peacefully, and then they're locked in this room in the after credits scene to sort of set up the tone of there's more islands to go to, with Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston, mind you. I was just like, oh, really? So we have this core group of boring people. They couldn't focus on any other characters. They were so stuck on the monsters, which they did okay on, but I need more than that for my monster movie. I want some characters to care about when they die, or do I not want them to die, or a villain that I see as flawed. I didn't get any of that in this movie.
Dan, what are some moments, some things that made the movie work for you?
You go to the movies for different reasons, and I think that a lot of it depends on how a movie decides it's going to approach it. I think that Jordan Vogt Roberts and everyone involved with the movie said, we are going to kind of do this return to this 50s sci-fi B feel of a military goes to an island and finds a bunch of monsters, and we're going to see how creative we can be with that. And I think they did it in a really fun and a really different way. Plus the addition of a really great character in Kong, plus a lot of great Kong scenes, a lot of great monster fights, and some interesting human characters. Did it do enough to be enjoyable? Did it do enough for me to come out of that movie saying, like, you know what? I had a really great time. I had some laughs. I jumped a lot. I saw some cool stuff. You know what? I did, and that's why I'm saying this was a movie that I liked.
Gotcha. Gentlemen, shake hands.
Always fun to argue with Mr. Merle.
Passionate arguments, loud arguments. Gentlemen, I felt like I was in the middle of a kaiju battle. Well done. What did you think? Did Kong Skull Island rule? Did it suck? Was it somewhere in between? Let us know in the comments section below. We want to know. And which one of these dudes won this debate? Tell us that too. I want to thank Dan Merle.
My pleasure, Hal.
Always good to talk to you, buddy. And Andy Signore, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
And I want to thank you for watching. I'm Hal Rudnick. Hit me up on Twitter. Bye-bye. Hey guys, did you know that this end card works with your phone now? I know, right? Click the boxes below to watch more Screen Junkies videos, and click the Screen Junkies logo to subscribe and get this show, honest trailers, movie fights, and more.